Hey, welcome to Socialism for All. Today's date is September 3rd, 2021. And a few days ago, I started recording a commentary on a video that was actually a viewer request, conversation between Chris Hedges, Brianna Joy Gray, and Richard Wolff on the Bad Faith podcast. I would say Hedges did the majority of the talking, kind of dominated it. Brianna Joy Gray coming in at number 2, and then Wolff filling in around the edges. Anyway, there was something that Chris Hedges said in this, which I addressed in the video, but I really felt like needs to be spotlighted, because after I did this video, I thought about this thing that he said for like 2 days straight. And I'm going to play the clip, and then I'm going to talk about some of the thoughts that were going through my head. This is such a just ass-backwards approach, I think, to what socialists in the U.S. should be doing today, rather than focusing on portions of the population with virtually no revolutionary potential. Here it is.
Forget Washington. It's our job to build movements, as Rick said, and we're going to have to build movements with people whose political expressions are far worse than anything that Williamson or anyone else is going to. So we're going to have to build coalitions with people like my family. And I love my family, although I don't want to hear much of what they think about black people or homosexuals or, there's an endless list, unless you're white Protestant from Mechanic Falls, Maine. But you know what? We're going to have to build those coalitions around fundamental issues of justice, around fundamental issues of employment, around fundamental issues of public service, of public schools, etc. And we're going to have to come together on those issues. But of course, the left which I think is just rapidly becoming a caricature of itself, is extinguishing its political relevance.
So there are so many things wrong with what he just said. There's 8, 9, 10 different issues with what he just said. I was just so outraged at this. And it's not the first time. I mean, I've been listening to him say this, Chris Hedges has been around on the scene for a long time. And he always says shit like this. So for starters, Chris Hedges is a liberal, self-avowed liberal. I have heard him in longer interviews before. I don't know exactly where it was, whether it was on his own show or if he was on Jimmy Dore or somewhere where he was being interviewed. But he was talking at length about how he doesn't believe in revolution, and he doesn't, he's not a communist, he's not a socialist. He believes that if there's a revolution, communist gangs will be running things. He has a very dim view of communism. So, first of all, he's a liberal. He's not on the left, but he wants to criticize the left in this kind of looking down his nose at us kind of way, which ironically, elsewhere in the video, he does. He says, he went to Harvard Divinity School. Okay, so you're definitely in touch with the people. He went to Harvard Divinity School, and he was criticizing his, fellow other elite people there, because they would go down to Nicaragua for the weekend and pick coffee and then talk about it for the rest of the semester, and that was their only connection. And meanwhile, he was walking through the projects or whatever. Well, you're doing the exact same fucking thing here, because your doom and gloom liberalism, which I comment on this at much greater length in the longer video, which I will be posting, gets us absolutely nowhere. You want to shit on Marxists, and then you want to, what's your solution to all this? Like, number one, and in his opinion, why the left is politically, quote, losing its relevance, is because we're not centering who? People like his family, who in his own words, like, can he even hear what he's saying, are rural, isolated, bigoted, reactionary, only like people who are exactly like them, xenophobic, etc., around fundamental. So first of all, you want to center the people who probably have some of the lowest revolutionary potential in the country, not people who are in giant urban human warehouses in the inner city, people who literally have nothing to lose and everything to gain. No, it's not about them. It's not about people at the actual bottom of the labor hierarchy. No, it needs to be, and again, this is like the criterion. If, quote, the left, which again, he is not part of, can't do this, then he's just going to write us all off. This is a calculated program of doom and gloom, I'm sorry to say. But anyway, we need to be able to reach out to these people he's talking about, rural, isolated, bigoted, reactionary white people with very little connection or awareness of the larger society and nation around them, on fundamental issues of justice, quote unquote, which they don't care about. Otherwise, why aren't they doing something about it? Why aren't they complaining about it? Why are they already on the wrong side of all those issues? So that needs, according to Chris Hedges, to be the center. Centering people, and it's the standard by which he will judge the entire movement. Either we do this or we're not relevant. I'm sorry, but you're talking about people who will be fighting change. They fight change now, and they'll be fighting change forever. They will be some of the last people to go along if there ever are revolutionary changes. Even after the revolution, they will be fighting it. They'll be dragging their feet. They will most likely be counter-revolutionary. They will be dragged kicking and screaming into the future. Despite what we might say are their class interests, they don't see it that way. And, you know, in fact, I don't know Chris's family personally, but I do know people of the type that he is describing. And they're just not our go-to people, okay? Like I said before, there are people who are oppressed and exploited at the absolute bottom of the labor hierarchy. And yes, that labor hierarchy has racial and gender dimensions and other dimensions involving the intersection of other social statuses. This kind of like class reductionist, center the like isolated reactionary white working class. And if you can't do that, then your movement's a joke. Well, excuse me for just not thinking that this is someone who is even a part of the same movement and that these judgments of his matter. Unfortunately, in the sort of populist left social democratic scene, this guy's dour outlook seems to carry, I think, more weight than it should. There are things I respect about him, stands he's taken as a journalist, or this and that, but honestly, take a back seat, really, because the changes that the U.S. needs are not going to be led by rural, white, isolated reactionaries. They're not. I don't know what else I can say. I feel like I feel so passionately about this point. It's infuriating. These are not the people who are going to be leading socialism. These are not the people who should be leading socialism. We need actually to build from the bottom up if we are going to actually free exploited people. We're having a movement of working people, helping working people. We start at the bottom and we liberate from there. That way we don't leave anybody behind. This whole notion that we need to focus on MAGA people and everything else is a distraction, a diversion, and a lie. And it's whatever the intention is, it's wrong. So anyway, look for that video. I got to edit it down. Hedges got me going and I went on kind of a rant about the left media. That's for another day and I want to put it in a different video. So I got to edit that down, but that should probably be up in the next few days. Thanks for listening. Thanks to the current patrons whose names are on the screen. You can support at patreon.com/socialismforall if you would like. Otherwise, liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting are all free ways of supporting the channel. So whatever you're doing online and in your community, thank you for doing it. And we'll catch you in the next video.